bonjour à vous tous et bienvenue à cette nouvelle série Let's Play de The Stanley Parabole Ultra Deluxe Edition. Mon nom est Kels et j'espère que de votre côté, vous allez bien. Alors, je vais commencer juste par ce petit commentaire. J'ai un mind blast présentement, c'est comme hallucinant. Il y a eu un petit détail que vous n'avez pas pu voir malheureusement qui vient de se passer parce que j'ai seté le jeu une première fois pour le stream. Puis ensuite de ça, j'ai reseté le jeu un peu plus tard dans la soirée. De mon côté, c'est la soirée, de votre côté, j'ai aucune idée. Donc, pour pouvoir commencer à enregistrer avant le stream, donc avoir le même feeling que vous au moment de l'enregistrement. Et le jeu m'a demandé à 2 reprises de mettre l'heure. Puis ils ont interagi parce que j'ai mis 2 fois l'heure qui était actuellement. Donc, en tout cas, c'est comme merci d'avoir pas mis juste midi, puis d'avoir passé au travers, puis de faire comme si vous avez rien vu, que vous vous en fichez finalement. C'est pas tous les joueurs qui font ça, blablabla. Bla, bla, bla. C'était assez spécial comme moment. Fait que j'imagine qu'on va avoir un très bon moment avec ce jeu-là. Ça a l'air spécial. C'est un jeu qu'on m'a recommandé de vive voix plusieurs fois au courant des dernières années. Et je dis bien des dernières années, avant même que je stream ou quoi que ce soit. C'était un jeu que le monde me dit tu devrais essayer ça. Tu devrais essayer ce jeu-là. Tu vas voir, c'est mind-blowing. Ça va être hallucinant. Tu vas avoir un bon moment. Malheureusement, c'était pas quelque chose qui m'intéressait de par son look, de par sa... Je sais pas. Il y a quelque chose qui m'intéressait pas nécessairement dans ce jeu-là. Et là, avec le Ultra Deluxe Edition qui vient de sortir, plusieurs nouvelles fins de ce que j'ai lu, je pense que c'est le bon moment pour plonger tête première dans ce genre de jeu-là, dans Stanley Parabole. Donc, sur ce, je ne vous retiens pas plus longtemps et je vous souhaite un bon visionnement. Entrez l'heure actuelle, ok. Donc, la première fois que j'ai rentré vraiment à l'heure actuelle, puis j'ai déroulé comme si rien n'était. Je me suis rendu jusqu'au menu, calibrer les petites affaires pour qu'on puisse jouer ensemble. Tantôt, juste avant, quelques minutes avant le stream, j'ai calibré pour l'introduction de la vidéo YouTube. Et le jeu était comme waouh, je vous félicite d'avoir rentré l'heure 2 fois différente que midi AM parce que c'est plutôt rare que ça arrive que les joueurs font ça. Habituellement, ils laissent ça à midi AM puis ils s'en à minuit en fait, minuit, ouais, midi c'est 12 PM. Donc, puis ils s'en foutent, mais merci. La prochaine fois, vous pourrez mettre l'heure que vous souhaitez. Mais moi, je veux mettre l'heure actuelle parce que je sais pas si ça a une incidence dans le jeu. Ok? Il est 8h01. Ah, 8h01 PM, votre heure préférée de la journée. Non, effectivement, c'est pas mon heure préférée, mais il m'avait dit de mettre l'heure que je souhaite, que je voulais préférer. Ou bien, n'allez-vous pas résister à la tentation de m'indiquer la bonne heure? Après tout, je sais combien vous appréciez de me donner l'heure exacte. Et voilà, je suis maintenant curieux de savoir si 8h01 PM est la bonne heure ou pas. Voyons cela avec un autre curseur. Quel est le degré d'exactitude de 8h01? Vous savez, je voulais juste vous dire que cette heure soit exacte ou non. Je passe un excellent moment à régler ces paramètres. J'ai l'impression d'en apprendre plus sur vous et vos préférences. Il est bon de collecter des données. J'aurais aimé qu'on ait plus de curseurs, mais nous les avons tous utilisés. Je pourrais inventer de nouveaux curseurs pour recueillir des données à votre sujet. Ça n'a rien de compliqué. Oui, je vais en fabriquer de nouveaux. Coucou Océane, comment tu vas? Ça devrait être prêt la prochaine fois que vous démarrez le jeu. Fait que la prochaine fois qu'on va jouer, je vais attendre qu'on soit tous ensemble pour pouvoir démarrer le jeu. Puis on fera l'intro au pire YouTube ensemble. Ça pourrait être drôle. Ça va bien, ça va bien. Merci, content que ça aille de ton côté. Ok, donc bienvenue dans The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. J'ai aucune idée à quoi m'attendre, c'est une découverte de mon côté aussi. Je sais juste que ça fait des années que j'entends parler de ce jeu-là, que le monde me dise tu devrais jouer à ça, et bien avant même que je stream. Donc, à ce moment-là, je sais pas, le jeu, malgré les commentaires de tu devrais, je sais pas, j'étais pas dans ce mood-là. J'étais beaucoup dans un mood de MMORPG pis tout ça avant, donc. Mais là, on va le faire ensemble, on va le découvrir ensemble. J'ai jamais joué à celui-là. Et l'Ultra Deluxe Edition, en plus de ça, rapporte plusieurs nouvelles fins. Donc, on va essayer de le jouer de fond en comble. Bien hâte de voir ce qu'il y a à découvrir dans ce jeu. Ok, donc on va commencer par faire l'histoire. Puis j'ai entendu dire qu'après l'histoire, ça dégénère sur un méchant temps. Bon, who knows? Let's go. Loading. The end is never the end, is never the end, is the... the end is loading.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Oh my
And then
god.
one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok, fait qu'il faut que je sorte du bureau. Oh well.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Je sais tellement pas dans quoi je nous ai embarqué, guys. Ok. Les touches de clavier, ça c'est drôle. Ça c'est le bouton d'interaction. À chaque fois que je fais le bouton d'interaction, ça fait des touches de clavier. Ah, bah, non, c'est tellement sensible en plus à souris. Oh oh.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Si j'ai le goût de pas l'écouter, mais ok, on va suivre l'histoire. Voir ce qui se passe pour vrai. Le meeting room, il est là.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. Ok. Tabarnak. Hey, Allah, comment tu vas? Tu avais pas joué à l'original? Non, j'ai absolument rien fait de ce jeu-là. Malgré tous les commentaires que tu m'avais dit de bon à ce jeu, en plus. Number of slide on the slide. What? Slides? Chart and slide? Charts. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ok. Les plus lisibles, ben ils ont refait, hein. C'est comme un remake du jeu, fait que... Pas censé d'aller là. Je sais même pas.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ok. Faut rien faire sur l'ordi. Yeah, c'est sûr qu'il y avait de quoi dans le broom closet, mais je veux juste voir l'histoire pour commencer.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Ah, Batman.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ça a juste aucun sens comment que c'est haut le plafond.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct
code. What is going on?
By sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Non, non, je mets ça comme dedans. Attendez un peu, c'était quoi le jeu? Superliminal. Avouez que ça a un feeling. C'est probablement que Superliminal a pris un feeling de ce jeu-là. Hein. Tu sais, le jeu avec les. Le genre de point and click, là, que c'était des profondeurs, pis toutes des questions de perspective, pis tout ça. Des objets qu'on bougeait, pis tout dépendant de la forme qu'on les bougeait, on pouvait les placer à certaines places, on pouvait les faire grossir, rapetisser. Ouais, hein. C'est ça que je me disais. Ah, j'ai même pas regardé s'il y avait quelque chose au bord où j'ai juste été là, j'ai pesé sur le bouton. Loading, 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 loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
T'avais manqué le 3 quarts de ce jeu, c'était vraiment nice, regarde. Si t'as la chance de le faire, là, si t'aimes ce genre de jeu-là, tu vas aimer Superliminal, c'est sûr.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Mind Control Facility. Escape! Fuck off. Je l'ai dit, on va pas l'histoire d'avance.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life. Their true nature
oh my
revealed.
god,
Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen.
Oh
and Stanley,
my god.
one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Mais pour vrai, la job qu'avait Stanley, là, ça devait être boring sur un Christ de temps, non? Ouais, Chris en bas. De peser sur des boutons quand ils te disent de peser sur des boutons, là. Non?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Fired.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ah, je suis là. Fait quelque part là-dedans, j'ai commencé par un 4, je finissais par un 7. Il me semble que c'était 427. Je dois être à quelque part là-dedans, là. Attendez un peu, là. 427, ce serait lui. Ou 447 ou 437. Ce sont les trois, là. Fait que... ouais. Oh mon dieu, ça risque d'être dur de savoir. Oh, fuck off.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. the heart of the operation, controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Je sais pas ce que je fais. Je fais absolument n'importe quoi. Ah, je connais pas Anti-Chamber, je connais pas ça. Imagine, il faut que j'aille par là. 5. Il y a d'autres boutons ailleurs. Simonac. Le 1 il est là. 2. Wow. Et je vois absolument rien. Je sais pas là où est-ce que l'échelle commence. Ah, j'ai pas accès. Le 4 est en haut. C'est voulu, hein? C'est voulu. La perception, ok, nice.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Click on. Ça aurait été malade.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
Ouais.
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Yeah.
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Tu veux-tu descendre la porte?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Bon. The end. On a fini le jeu, guys. The end is never the end. The end is loading.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to
Prochaine
go
fois.
to the meeting room.
Prochaine
Perhaps he
fois.
had simply missed a memo.
C'est combien de temps? Faut que je reste là, unlock.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Hit the door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Il n'y a pas de crise de porte 417. C'est ça, trap? Faut que je la trouve, la porte 417.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Et où celle-là?
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so. Now, back to door number 437.
C'est n'importe quoi.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Ah si, j'ai passé tout droit.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Il est où son bureau à lui? Je fais comment pour sauter? I'd like que le space marche pas.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Je skip quoi?
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Y'en a-tu un autre dans cette pièce-là, non? Hey, t'as l'autre bout, aussi.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Il va-tu réagir encore? L'affaire, c'est que j'ai pas activé j'ai pas activé le truc pour les achievements. Fait qu'on ne saura pas si on a eu l'achievement. Il y a une game de Stealth sur l'ordi, là.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Est-ce qu'on va jusqu'au fond pour on fait on juste pour voir la différence? Après ça, on aurait pu refaire tout ce petit trajet-là. Orderly. Ok. Ah, fuck off.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Moi, toutes tes faire les esti de portes de voisin.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Confinat!
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
Fais bien attention de rester là.
Room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
Come on,
Really
embarque sur la
worth it.
table. Embarque sur la table. Embarque ça. Merci.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Oh, c'est chiant ça de dire ça. Je suis bien là. Je suis assis dans un sofa qui a l'air passablement confortable.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ça c'est parfait. C'est parfait. J'espère que vous avez aimé le stream. On va mettre fin là-dessus. On va rester assis là tout le restant du stream juste pour voir s'il y avait quelque chose après. Je suis du type bucké quand il y a des enfants de même. Il a dit a long time, hein? Je sais pas pour eux autres dans le jeu c'est quoi un long time. Beaucoup de temps. Pis t'as juste un lock qui est en train de se mourir de rire chez eux à me voir rester assis là sous ses dires. Hmm. C'est le temps d'aller aux toilettes, se préparer un café et mettre un film. Ouais, pas le temps. Vas-y, amuse-toi. Je risque d'être encore là, mais que ça vienne. Maintenant, as-tu vraiment quelque chose après? Non, mais ça, c'est ça, c'est un long time, ouais. Ben ouais, reste là. Je pense pas. C'est ça, tu sais jamais quand quelque chose te troll dans ce genre de jeu-là. suis presque déçu de devoir y aller. Hey, depuis tantôt, je suis assis là. Je pouvais même pas voir l'heure. Fait que depuis tantôt, hey, sérieux.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open
C'est
door on
sûr.
his left to
T'es
get
sûr.
back to business.
T'es sûr qu'il y a quelque chose, c'est sûr, c'est sûr. Avec les commentaires qu'ils viennent de faire là, t'es sûr qu'il y a quelque chose. C'est même pas la même heure. Mm-hmm. Do not yet lie. If you are lying, stop right now.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ça me prend une carte pour aller là. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's on motion will cause death.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Oh wow, le gars, il était bien là aussi. I'm proud of you, Stanley. Là, tu m'as dit de pas bouger de là? T'es-tu sérieux là ou tu me niaises? Il m'a-tu passé quelque chose? Hey, j'attendrai pas jusqu'à temps qu'il soit midi, minuit ou whatever. Sûrement midi, parce qu'on s'entend que minuit c'est un peu tard avec le soleil qui fait dehors. Ben, malgré qu'on est dans une facilities. Non, il fait soleil dehors quand on sort. Puis on n'a pas passé énormément de temps là. Fait que. Fait que c'est quand même possible. Ah. Unlock. Unlock, si tu me fais attendre pour rien, là. Tu me fais attendre pour rien? T'es sérieux? Ah, Unlock, je m'excuse, mais tu l'avais mérité. D'ailleurs, pourquoi je m'excuse? Je peux pas m'excuser de ça. Oh non! Ah, ok, attends un peu. T'as enlevé ton statut de mono, mais je vais te le remettre à la fin du stream, inquiète-toi pas. Ouais, on continue ça. Ça fait rien quand je pèse sur le clavier. Ah, bordel! Je m'excuse pour l'ogre qui est à côté de moi. Y'a vraiment de quoi? Ouais, c'est ça. Bullshit, je t'écoute plus.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Je recommence
Click
pas
the
ça.
door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va aller jusqu'à la fin. Je peux vraiment pas avant de rentrer. Oh!
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
Ça va
hoping
pas
he
bien,
might
mon
find
affaire.
an answer there.
Do not enter without considering. Ah! Marche pas. Je peux pas monter. La gosse.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Je essayé n'importe quoi. Oh boy.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing?
Ok, oui.
Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Comment tu veux que je te donne des explications? J'ai rien
You
pour
do
t'écrire.
realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Il y a un balai.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
C'est pas pire.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably
C'est
only got the
parti.
job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
C'est malade, Willard.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some
No!
sort triggered in your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities.
C'est
It's
parfait.
indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Puis là, j'ai peur d'attendre pour rien encore.
Ah, second play. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Oh non. Il dit plus rien, il est frustré. Oh. Elle aime le broom closet, moi.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh boy.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
What?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wow! Je peux pas écrire sur le maudit clavier. Ben, aussitôt que j'arrive à la hauteur du clavier, ça marche pas. Oh, whatever.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va aller voir quelque chose au sol si on continue plus loin. Peut-être que la voie s'arrête.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided, oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Ok. Prochaine run. Il s'en rappelle, c'est juste pas fait.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Y a rien à faire
How
pour
was he
sortir de là.
remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all
Je suis
entered
désolé.
Stanley's head.
Je pensais
Why
vraiment
he
qu'il y avait
was
autre chose.
amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control.
Ah, je vais pas recommencer le jeu, je sais pas si ça va tout effacer notre progrès
So he
jusque-là.
closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Oh my god!
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Et je suis mort. Regarde. Je suis mort pour mourir, hein.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
C'est juste malade.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and
Juste
walked
risque que
to
je
her
puisse pas
place of
passer
work.
quelque chose que j'ai déjà
But on
vu.
this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment
On va plus
that
jamais
she
au
stood
sous-sol,
there,
guys.
staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Maudite chaise qui se défend en morceaux. Bon, fait qu'on va pouvoir essayer la porte.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Oh, wow.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Oh, wow! C'est tellement... Ouais, c'est vraiment simple comme concept à pousser loin, ouais, vraiment. Mais ça, là, ça, c'est le best! Ah, ça, là, c'est hilarant. Ah, je suis déçu. Je peux pas y retourner.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
C'est magique. To be rich... C'est fucking drôle, vraiment. To be rich isn't a crime. To commit crime isn't rich. Isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. Okay. Imagine qu'il n'y a rien à faire là. Ah! Peut-être que là, il va dire quelque chose si je veux. Ah, il dira rien. Ah... Oh! Wait, what? C'était pas ouvert ça tout à l'heure. Oh shit. C'est quand je suis man, ben trop fort. La musique d'ascenseur, ouais. Pas ça avec l'eau aussi. C'est une fucking joke. C'est pas un vrai ascenseur ici. Oh well, fuck off. Je sais pas qu'est-ce qu'il y a à faire avec ça. La musique qui repart à chaque maudite fois, là.
Stepping into his manager's
Ah
office,
non!
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Là, tu disais-tu d'attendre au niveau de
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs.
de l'ascenseur?
Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Ah, ok. J'ai attendu en pesant up, puis j'ai pas attendu en pesant down. Ma faute. J'essayais plein d'affaires.
2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Toujours en arrière de la cheminée, hein. Un petit peu plus, puis je pensais qu'il y avait quelque chose à faire là. Bon, ben, pas le choix.
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Le narrateur commence vraiment pas à m'aimer.
Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Ça serait malade que ce soit pas le boss office, pour vrai. Ça serait juste fou. J'aime ça.
It's the boss's office.
Oh, wow.
This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
Voyons.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No, wait. No, I need more time to process.
Ce jeu est malade.
All right, I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality.
Oh, regarde, je crois bien qu'il a brisé le bouton.
I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Ah ouais, ça casse level 1000 sur le signe de temps.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Savez quoi? Savez quoi? Il dit rien! Ah non, c'est triste. Ok, il a fini.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley.
Il a tout arrêté.
You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises?
Je peux pas croire qu'il y a rien dans l'autre, Deluxe.
And to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal.
C'est l'occasion manquée, c'est
This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why... Oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better.
Oh! Wait, no. Oh my god.
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
C'est parfait. An evening with One Piece, baby.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Ah, celle-là? Non?
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
No one tells stories the way you do. Go get them, Tiger. Bring a leg, champ. Your boss. I love the way you roll. You ride elevators. Thanks for showing me that cool skateboard trick in the parking lot. You're too cool. Good luck on stage. Rock on. Stanley, my true love for you grows every day. You make me feel alive. Your wife from their apartment building. Ending. On l'a pas vu, celle-là. Stanley, me dad. Stanley, me dad. Je suis obligé d'y aller. Je peux pas interagir avec ces portes-là. Let's go. Mort d'une crise cardiaque. Il était écrit de quoi? J'ai pas eu le temps de le lire.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
What?
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility?
Je pensais pas qu'aussitôt que tu fermais la porte, c'était fini.
No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Éteins l'ordi? Who farted? Bon. Sur le bureau de la fenêtre. Je peux pas interagir avec quoi que ce soit. Hey! Ben, je peux pas. Comment tu veux que je monte sur ce bureau-là? Y'a un fucking bouton pour sauter, puis ils veulent pas me laisser sauter. Saute pas! Je veux bien, mais je peux pas monter sur ce bureau-là. Oh shit.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful
Attendez un peu. Ouais, on va laisser sur un autre bouton.
and witty commentary into the
Peut plus
nature of
sauter.
video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had
C'est vraiment
selected
génial.
continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
What? That's it? Je peux pas sauter peu importe ce que je fais. Oh wow. Vas-y, il va me laisser là pour vrai, hein? Ok. Puis là, je fais comment pour m'en sortir? Oups. T'es sérieux? Bon ben. Fait que là, c'est là, tu me dis, est-ce que c'est dangereux de faire recommencer? De faire recommencer le jeu? vais pas perdre les progrès. Oh, il y a un téléphone. C'est lequel? C'est celle-là? Regarde de répondre! Ah, c'est lui.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Avec la musique.
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly.
That's the meilleur,
But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Est-ce qu'il joue à l'infini? Oh my god! Je pensais qu'il y avait quelque chose de nouveau, il a fait des notes différentes. Ok, ça suffit.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Inquiétez-vous pas, je repasse pas par la fenêtre. Quoi qui est marqué sur celle-là? 434, il est pas là. Il pleut? Oh my god, si j'ai éteint toutes les ordi du début à la fin. Wait, what? Faut que je le fasse 5 fois. Le narrateur est pas mal silencieux.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
C'est une affaire pour ouvrir des portes que je peux pas, hein.
Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh, là, faut pas que je tombe.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Que j'ai envie de quoi? D'essayer de sauter sa passerelle? Ah, damn it. Certain que moi l'essayer. Certain que moi l'essayer. Ah, ferme-toi la porte.
That's her, Stanley.
Ah, si, mon numéro d'appartement, c'est
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Yeah, right.
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Oh, c'est chier.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named
No!
Stanley.
Il est pas question que j'appuie sur R. Oh, damn it.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. and so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Faut préparer le dîner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Pour les réunir aux enfants.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
C'est pour dire à votre femme que vous l'aimez.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
J'ai pour aller vous coucher.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
J'ai comme pas le choix, hein? C'est malade pour vrai. Ah, j'ai pas le choix.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Oh, wow.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hey, c'est pas même que tout à l'heure.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Le narrateur va en avoir vraiment assez avec moi à la fin de la soirée.
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Il y a d'autres bureaux que je vais aller voir. Oh shit, c'est pas ma même affaire. Ah, c'est pas le même corridor. J'ai-tu vu ce corridor-là tout à l'heure? Ah, je suis perdu, man. Il me semble qu'on n'avait pas eu accès à ce corridor-là. Ça se peut que oui, ça se peut que non. Je sais plus.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Y'a rien à faire, y'a rien qui veut me laisser rentrer nulle part.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ok, je l'essaye, guys.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Danger everywhere. Deux B1. Deux B3.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Asti, j'ai le goût d'aller dans une autre porte.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Or while leaderboard. C'était ça. Oh, wow. Ok. 21,3% des joueurs ont skippé l'intro séquence. On est worst 3%. Choose the blue door. How long does it take you to get to the correct door? Compete to get another to improve your strategy power. C'est malade. This is you. 7 heures, ben oui.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
C'est-tu faire watch ou quelque chose de ça?
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Ah, stick, man, ça se peut pas. Avant, c'était Minecraft. Ils ont réarrangé ça au goût du jour, malgré que Minecraft c'est encore très populaire, mais ils ont peut-être perdu les droits de le faire.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that That thing, that big, open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Qu'est-ce qu'il va trouver comme jeu?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Ah, ben non, Rocket
Exactly what I
League.
had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Mets-moi pas au défi, man.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Hey, je vais plus vite. Ils sont malades pour vrai. Oh, je veux rentrer là.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Dis-moi.
Hold on. What are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back and show him.
Wow. Wow. C'est que je suis, bâtard. T'es malade, c'est juste complètement malade. Ah ouais, pour vrai, c'est un mode Half-Life qui a généré Stanley Parabole? I'm not crazy, man. Ok, cool. Je sais pas ce que je suis censé faire ici, mais... Pas ça.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Oh, je suis triste.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Hey, l'ordi, il est plus là.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
On est passé où l'ordi?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any
New
way.
content? Sérieux?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ah, je peux pas aller là. Ferme la porte, non. Ah. Fuck? Si je m'en vais.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ah, je peux pas revenir en arrière juste pour les contrarier.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Rien qui va se passer.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we
Wow.
should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right,
Ça aurait été
finally,
parfait.
at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Je peux pas juste redescendre. Ça aurait été parfait.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
C'est pour ça que je pouvais pas sauter depuis le début. Asti. Non! Je peux plus sauter!
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
C'est parfait. Oh, wow.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content. That's it.
That's it? No, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
C'est niaiseux. What? Oh, wow!
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Ok, tu reviens dans le vrai jeu si tu y vas pas. Fuck off, on y va.
Oh, never mind. You're not a dog.
Ça fait longtemps que le loading est fini. Oh mon dieu.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Qu'est-ce que c'est ça, man? What the heck?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Y'a pas d'autre chemin que je pouvais prendre, là. Juste pour le faire chier. Like enough.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Ouais, 20h13 pour 2013. C'est le meilleur ever. Good times. Let's begin again. Qu'est-ce qu'il est censé avoir là? Y'a pas de porte parfait. Smile because it's happened. It happened. Wow. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. It is impossible to get this achievement. Ok, les nominations de je sais pas quoi. British Academy Award quand même. Los Angeles Times. Ah! La mort! In loving memory, little Stanley. No!
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Portal. Minecraft. Et c'est de ça que tu parlais tantôt, Unlock. Les deux fameux sports. Stanley, Person of the Year. Okay.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Ben oui.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Steam reviews.
No. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh, wow. Fait que le jump button, il a été utilisé tellement là, dans le stock de jump. Ça, c'est drôle en tabarnane. Tout un troll, ça. Fait que j'imagine que les crates vertes, c'est les pouces en l'air, puis les crates rouges, c'est les pouces en bas.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure.
Oh no.
Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh no. Faut qu'ils sont de même pour quelques petits commentaires négatifs.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Oh wow. Ah, je pensais qu'il y avait quelque chose de caché là-bas, bord, je suis un peu déçu. J'aurais aimé ça qu'il y ait quelque chose.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for you to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game.
Je sais pas si on a vraiment pris des vraies
Let me
critiques
start
ou si...
over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
La porte est ouverte? Oh, faut que je le skip encore?
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Est-ce qu'on fait ce qu'il a dit ou on pèse sur le skip button? Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il va revenir? Il n'y a clairement plus rien après. C'est clair qu'il n'y a plus rien après puis qu'il attend juste qu'on paye sur le skip button.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in a stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again.
My
I've
God.
cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome.
Oh my
I have had
goodness.
time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible, the spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid, as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Sorry, buddy. On va faire un petit dernier tour, voir s'il n'y a pas une nouvelle porte qui s'est ajoutée. Ce genre de jeu-là, on est capable de rajouter une porte en arrière. Mais sorry, buddy. Il parlera plus. Il l'a dit qu'il voulait nous le faire sentir. Comme une alarme de feu qui marche, hein? What the fuck? Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. the most immediate desires. Every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, "He's talking too much," they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world.
Ow. Oh. Ça commence à faire mal de le taire à chaque fois. Ah, pauvre lui.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Oh my god.
End is never the end, is never the end.
Ça peut pas bien aller, là. Tu vas-tu avoir quelque chose? Si ça commence à couler de partout, man. Wow. Incroyable. Oh, damn! Je suis en dessous de l'eau? Ils m'ont-tu recalé en dessous de l'eau pour se passer les plus de porte? Ah ouais, là-haut? Non, je suis pas calé en dessous de l'eau. Mais je suis coincé là sur un esti de temps, hein? Oh, des arbres. Oh, plus rien. Des cendres. Et qu'est-ce qui se passe au-dessus? Damn. Ah non! C'est le néant, la planète est morte. Comme y a-tu plus qu'un soleil? Non, il y a vraiment juste un soleil. Ok, my goodness. C'était intense comme fin,
How
celle-là.
wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Oh my goodness. Là, j'ai toujours pas trouvé l'autre ordinateur qui est...
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Je peux pas juste aller l'autre bord. Bon. On va aller voir c'est quoi le new content. Let's go. Oh my god. Je pense pas avoir fait le tour des fins. Right? Ça ferait
You
pas de
see,
sens.
Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An
Ça, c'est nice
entirely
qu'il y a deux
new
sets, là.
experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
They're back two doors. Old plus busted, new hotness. The color red of rage, what is stick value? Okay, wow.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Qui a pris le marqueur rouge? L'autre qui écrit en rouge, moi. C'est parfait. Sequels are good, Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Maladin 2, Dark Souls 2. Oh my god. Ils ont listé des flops dans le fond. Ça c'est triste. Il y en a plusieurs là-dedans, j'ai pas joué donc je pourrais pas vous dire, mais il y en a quelques-uns que j'ai joué, dont Portal, Dark Souls, Aladdin. J'ai joué une partie du premier Divinity. J'ai pas plus joué que ça, donc je pourrais pas dire quoi que ce soit là-dessus. This way to the show floor. New features, new content.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. What? No screenshot. Red is the new orange. The baby's all grown up. Consistent quality with just a real amount of change. New feature, new content, new ideas. Wow. Free new easy achievement. Get it here. Qu'est-ce que ça c'est drôle? Donc, il y a bien trop de place où qu'on peut aller. Except. My goodness. The jump circle.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Oh, wow. C'est parfait. Trou sans fond, succès gratuit, paramètre champion du monde. Ah, bah oui, hein, fallait que ce soit barré. Bâtard. Trou sans fond, j'imagine c'est là. Non. Épilogue.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later. For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh man. Ça aurait été malade qu'il y ait le nom là-dessus. Bon.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
C'est innocent.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name.
Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
C'était sûr que j'allais le péter. C'était sûr que j'allais pas le laisser faire. Bon, c'est quoi la prochaine feature? My God.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Reassurance bucket. Qu'est-ce que c'est ça?
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms.
Good bucket.
It's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable too.
Je avec le bucket, moi là.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Fuck up.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Oh, wow. Il y a tellement plein d'autres affaires, je vais aller voir la map. S'il y en a en tabarnak du truc, ça n'a pas de chance. Oh, 9, c'est quoi 9? Collectible. Oh, the infinite hole!
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right, infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
C'est sans fond. Anyway.
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Y a autre chose qu'il va dire après?
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Actuellement, quand on monte les marches, c'est la vitesse la plus haute, je pense qu'on a atteint. Bon, ah ouais, achievement.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Oh, wow.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Ça ici. Collectibles. Les collectibles.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Oh non! Ah si, y'en a pas 6 pour vrai.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Y'a-tu quelque chose d'autre qu'on n'a pas vu là? Fuck no, que je cherche ça dans le jeu, moi. Ça on l'a vu, de l'autre côté on a tout vu. Ouais, fait qu'on a tout vu. Ah, c'est pas maudit qu'il y en a juste 5, mais je pense qu'il y en a peut-être juste une aussi. Check la grosse qui est là, man. That's a big figurine. Ah, c'est plate que l'autre en haut, par exemple, les modes de paramètres champion du monde soient pas ouverts. Mais ça, moi, ça m'intrigue comme nom. C'est tellement voulu, je le sais bien, mais... Ouh. Le jump button. Il y en a clairement pas d'autres, guys. Y'a plus rien, là. Non, non, il y en a clairement pas d'autres. S'il y en a d'autres, ben tant pis, c'est moi qui se serait trompé.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Oh oui. Je suis avec la boquette, hein. C'est réassurant comme boquette. Je peux pas m'en passer. New mug.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is.
Oh no.
I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oh, wow. Ça a l'air plus d'un jeu d'horreur, mais de même. No?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push
the game you can't accept.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Wow.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hey, la bucket!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Hey! Qu'est-ce que c'est ça?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ok.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends?
Bon, ça y
That
est.
your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Oh, wow.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Ah, y a pas d'autre interaction.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Avec sa scène, on aurait vraiment dit qu'il était parti. No!
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember,
No reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Oh, wow. Ah, je peux pas la rouvrir. Ah, ben ça, c'est triste, par exemple. J'ai pas voulu. Hey! Hey! S'il en reste 2 à faire, des inputs.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Allez, j'essaye.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
3 sur 6, pas 2 sur 6. Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il va me péter la gueule si je remonte?
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
What? Unlock, tu savais-tu? C'est pour ça que tu m'as dit 3-3-3 tantôt?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Je comprends pas comment tu m'as dit 3-3-3 tantôt, pis là c'est ça qui me dit de faire.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Oh mon Dieu.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Fuck, man.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing.
The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Ah, il n'y a plus rien d'autre qui se passe.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Le bucket, faut que tu me comprennes.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
The stage.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
The dude who came up with the pencil.
There was no one here.
Ah!
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Wow! Wow! J'espère que vous avez apprécié ce jeu-là, c'est hallucinant comment il y a des chemins différents, puis là en plus de ça avec, c'est comme vous le voyez là, le fameux nouveau menu. What the hell? Juste, what the hell? Donc on va continuer ça c'est sûr la semaine prochaine, j'espère que vous avez hâte, ça va être aussi hilarant. Là on a vu une partie avec le bucket, donc avec le fameux saut. Je vais probablement utiliser le saut, il y a les fameux écrans qui s'allume. J'ai hâte de voir qu'est-ce que ça donne quand les 5 sont remplis. Il y a toute la... ce qu'on avait dit qu'on ferait au départ, qu'on a pas fait finalement, tout le mind control dans le bas de la base, que ça non plus on n'a aucune idée qu'est-ce que ça fait. Donc on va aller visiter ça aussi. Donc essayer peut-être de trouver le trou noir, on va essayer de trouver le trou noir ou les autres possibilités. Donc, manquez pas ça si vous avez aimé ça. Si jamais ça vous tente de le voir en live sur Twitch, vous allez avoir les liens juste en haut de moi, sinon vous pouvez les retrouver dans la description de cette vidéo. Je vous souhaite une excellente fin de journée, une excellente fin de soirée ou une excellente nuit, tout dépendant de ce qui s'applique à vous. Et je vous dis à la prochaine. Prenez soin de vous. Bye bye tout le monde.